Good morning. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good morning, Chairman D'Agostino, ranking members Witkos and Ritigliano, and all of my esteemed legislative colleagues of the General Assembly. Good morning. I stand before you with a few of my local-owned businesses to oppose Section 55 and 56 of the House Bill 6101, an act concerning various issues related to the Liquor Control Act. Connecticut has nearly over 1,300 package stores, and their 15,000 plus employees are currently one of the most stable retail establishments during this COVID pandemic crisis, and one of the most significant contributors to our community by supporting restaurants and nonprofits. They sell only three products: wine, beer, and spirits. And this proposal under Section 55 and 56 would take away two of their three items and give it to other entities. These stores are what people have built their lives on, and they are owned by lifelong Connecticut residents, immigrants, and generations of family owners. If the chair and the committee will allow, I will cede the rest of my time to examples of those residents, immigrants, and generational owners to offer their viewpoint. So again, I want to thank the chair and the committee for that indulgence. I have Patrick Monteleone, if he's on the screen, and Maurice Abramson, as well as Ravish Shah. So if I could, through you, Mr. Chair, allow them to offer their testimony, and we'd be happy to take any questions afterwards as well. So thank you. We've got Maureen on.
Sure. I'm right here. Thank you very much, Tony.
Let me just
you, Mr. Chair.
Yeah, we do usually do this in live testimony. It's obviously something we will do for elected officials, and we want to be able to continue to do that via Zoom. I would just ask the participants to not abuse the privilege, and we try to keep our testimony within the 3-minute time frame, even for elected officials, although we obviously have some indulgences.
I understand.
So please continue.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, for this indulgence. It's unusual times. So go ahead, Mo.
Hi, my name is Maureen Abrahamson, and I own Moan's Wine and Spirits in Fairfield, Connecticut with my husband, Mark. We have been in business since 2003. We employ 13 people, 10 of which are full-time employees. We are a real mom and pop store, and we are real live Connecticut CEOs. To say that I was surprised that after the year we have had, I would find myself speaking to the General Law Committee yet again this year is quite an understatement. I have been arguing on behalf of myself and my fellow small business owners in front of this legislative body for over 10 years. It was excruciatingly painful and time-consuming during the Malloy years when the attacks seemed to be relentless. But this year, HB 6101 seems to be emanating from committee leadership when it does not seem to benefit anyone but big box stores and chains. To those newly elected legislators, thank you for your commitment to our state. Each election, one of my major competitors and I meet with new representatives in Fairfield to explain how the liquor industry works within the state of Connecticut. We have heard the rationalization that wine is allowed to be sold in grocery stores and beer in every available outlet in some states. However, the 21st Amendment gave each state essentially absolute control over alcoholic beverages in their respective state. And Connecticut was set up with a system where multiple freestanding stores would be allowed to sell based on population and under the 3-tier system, suppliers, wholesalers, and retailers, in order to keep a check on each tier of the industry. This is that was bought into and poured our sweat and financial equity into. I believe that most of our citizens in our state of Connecticut do not want to be anything like Florida or Delaware, where big box retailers take over, put the little guys out of business, decimate our quintessential New England streetscapes and downtowns, and create concrete wastelands. Understand that liquor consumption is finite. There's only so much that a population can consume. So if you want to cut up the pie into smaller and smaller slices by giving it away to big box retailers and grocery stores, you will put the little guy out of business. There are 1,200 CEOs represented by liquor stores in the state of Connecticut. And I get the idea, the convenience for the customer, but Connecticut was set up to have separate stores on purpose. That's the system we bought into. Permittees may now own 6 liquor stores. So if Target, Stop and Shop, Wegmans, if they want to sell booze, buy a permit and have at it. But trying to dismantle a system that works so big guys can take over just angers me. To even hint that we would profit off of our fellow restaurateurs during this pandemic is insulting. My husband and I are prior restaurateurs, and we know firsthand how difficult the business is. But I say to my restaurateurs, hang on. For once our economies can truly reopen, I believe they will be inundated with patrons, and our business will return to normal. I, for one, can't wait for that. Neither can my customers. Liquor stores did do well this year, and we held our communities together. We worked through COVID protocols and guidelines. We kept our employees employed. We paid our taxes, and we spent our money in our communities. And when my customers were scared and my employees were scared, we closed our doors to the public in mid-March, and we did curbside only. We couldn't work from home and Zoom like many others. We did everything we were supposed to do to get our stores up and safe. And guess what? Our customers were as thankful for us as we were grateful for them. And why? Because we're a community. We care about each other. Our Fairfield Economic Development Commission, Council, Chamber of Commerce, and our first select woman, Brenda Kupchak, who was among your ranks for years, collectively has our small business backs. And together, we cross-pollinated our fellow small businesses on social media and launched our local, Love Local e-gift card. My community has since purchased $45,000 in e-gift cards.
Ms. Abrahamson?
Yes.
It's time to wrap up.
Yep. Okay. So as a Connecticut CEO, our business model is structured around serving our customers who happen to be our neighbors and our friends, and not a gaggle of wealthy investors sitting around a table in a crow's room. So I ask you why? Why would any representative of the people of this state, my state, vote in favor of a bill that would indisputably only benefit giant corporations that have no need for support? I can only speculate on what would drive a decision at the expense of us, your Connecticut CEOs, your small businesses. I thank you very much for your time.
Thank you so much. We had other people, but I want to respect the chairman's directive, and we'd be happy to take any questions. But as you can see, the emotion that comes from so many of the business owners that you will see later on today are real. And I will simply add that they are the very fabric of our community during this COVID pandemic. So through you, Chairman D'Agostino, we'd be happy, and the committee, we'd be happy to take any additional questions and help answer.
Thank you, Senator. I'm happy to have you introduce your other speaker if they could just keep it to a minute or so.
Thank you. I appreciate the indulgence. We have Ravish Shah, who is with, and in this day and age of the COVID and Zoom technology, I appreciate the accommodation. So Ravish is a small business owner, and your American dream come true from an entrepreneurial and aspirational aspect. So Ravish, please.
Hi, my name is Ravish Shah. I'm 38-year-old. I started this journey when I was 23-year-old. I got my first liquor store when I was 23-year-old. I have Peacock Liquor, and that's the spirit in Fairfield. Fair liquor laws of Connecticut has allowed hundreds of stores like me to stay in business and keep our livelihood. I would only say one thing, that have you ever seen bill where liquor store ask for chips or grocery stores or grocery or food to sell? Because we do not want to snatch away from their business. Lastly, I would say we are not afraid of competition. We are not afraid of competition. However, the competition has to be between two groups of equal status. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it. I'm not sure if you had anybody else, or.
You know what? With the technology, he is lost in space, and it's Patrick Monteleone. But in the interim, before he's able to get on, if we could, we'd be happy to take on questions from the committee member, and we will roll it as we can, okay. Sir.
Representative Cheeseman.
And I'll be very quick, Mr. Chairman. I know we have a lot of people who want to speak. I just wanted to talk to Mo. You mentioned philanthropic support in your community. Can you give some examples of that? Because I know in my community, my package stores have stepped up hugely to support not only local nonprofits, but the restaurant community and other struggling entities.
Kind of clicked in and out. Are you? you there?
We can hear you. Yep.
Okay, terrific. Yes, I can tell you that with Patrick from Harry's, who should have been on here right now too.
I think I'm here now.
Oh, you are? There you are. Okay, want to talk about
I'm
what
not
you've
sure
done with the
exactly what
restaurants?
I'd love to. If I can get a couple of minutes to just speak, I apologize for getting lost in space there, but if I could get just a couple of minutes, I'd like to some testimony. Is that
Before
okay?
you go, Patrick, if I may ask the indulgence of the chair.
Yes.
If you could, sir.
If you wouldn't mind answering the representative's question, that'd be great about community support.
And then he's allowed to just articulate some of his viewpoints.
I'd really appreciate it, Senator.
Okay. Hopefully we'll be able to ask some questions. That's fine. Go ahead, Patrick.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear what the question was. I was trying to get my technical problem worked out.
If you could talk about some of the community support that you've done, the Representative Cheeseman had asked about.
Sure, I'm happy to talk about.
I believe she
some
asked that of
that
Mrs. Abramson, though, Mr. Chairman.
Yeah, I'm trying to manage this as best I can.
Understood.
Would you like me to answer that?
Yeah, if you wouldn't mind.
Sure. So early in the year, we did a promotion called Lunch on Harry's to benefit our local community kitchen, where we teamed up with 53 different restaurants over the course of a number of months, each day, Monday to Friday, to provide 25 meals a day from a different local restaurant in town each day. Following that, we did a promotion where we bought $100 gift certificates for our staff to a small local business that they wanted to support. Those two promotions cost me about $17,500. Following that one, we did a single barrel of whiskey called the Troubled Times Barrel, where we attached $20 gift certificates from locally owned eateries with each bottle, giving away all of the profits that we would have gained from those, from the sale of that barrel. And the value of that was about $4,000. And then finally, at the end of the year, we went back to work with the Operation Hope Community Kitchen and Pantry and did a rare whiskey fundraiser where we sold about 100 bottles and with their community support raised $21,485 that we donated to Operation Hope. Those are a few of the examples of the things that we did this past year to support our own local community.
If I may add to that, Operation Hope is one of the largest homeless shelter and food pantry distribution centers in Fairfield, and Patrick and their organization has donated for the past 2 or 3 years in total of access probably close to $40,000 to the organization to help combat homelessness, and I really appreciate the work that they do. And I'll tell you how many countless school fundraisers, when they're able to have it, baskets and donations to our nonprofits, they have been, and they're very essence the fabric of our community. And I don't know if there's any other questions, and I hope people will be able to ask Patrick's experience from the business side on this equation, and I hope committee members will be able to indulge and allow Patrick to share that viewpoint as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Representative Hayes, see your hand up.
Once again, local convenience stores, I often see a sign in the window that says tobacco products sold at state minimum. Is there a minimum price for alcohol sales in Connecticut?
I'm happy to answer that, and the answer to that is yes, there is a minimum pricing.
Okay, so could you explain to me how that works? Is it separated by beer and wine and spirits?
Well, it is separated by beer, wine, and spirits. It's separated by individual labels and sizes. So each size and type of product has a minimum price on it. And that minimum price is, and there's a lot to the Connecticut state law for minimum pricing, but there is what they call post-offs. These are sales on products that come up either monthly, bi-monthly, or quarterly, where you buy those products in there. And then when they're off post, the cost of a bottle of wine in a case is the same as the case itself. So if you're unable to buy it on sale, you won't have any built-in profit. But if you're able to buy it on sale ahead of time, hold it through the buy-in period, you are then forced, if I can say it that way, to make a little bit of money.
Okay, and is it fair for me to assume that your normal package store operation would not be selling at minimum prices?
No, we sell a lot of products at minimum prices. That's competition. We sell an awful lot of products at minimum pricing, and then we fortify that with other products that add diversity to our industry and give us a bit of unique opportunity to be able to buy, to be able to sell products that are available at limited number of stores.
Okay, and I guess my last question would be, is it fair for me to assume that if a multi-million-dollar corporation was granted the right to sell beer and wine, it would be much easier for them to continue to sell at minimum prices? And if they were to do that, what would that do to your businesses?
Yeah, so the answer is yes. Being able to put our feet to the fire and work with suppliers and distributors to narrow that gap and narrow it makes it tougher and tougher. I mean, it's happening to us right now. It's been happening for a number of years, in fact. The top national brands, the top 50 or 100 brands are very close, priced very close to cost. And that makes the job a lot harder than it used to be. Does that answer your question?
It does, and thank you once again for being here. Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm done.
Of course, the corollary to that, Patrick, is that it keeps the price low for the consumer, right?
Yeah, it does keep the price lower to the consumer. We don't begrudge it. We're just thankful to have it in place, because if we didn't have it in place, these national companies would be able to sell at or below their cost and hold our feet to the fire for as long as they wanted before running us out of business. It's a well shown model over time. This is what big corporations do to the small guy, which is why we fought so hard for it. And continue to fight so hard for it year after year after year as the proposals continue to come up, over the course of the last decade or so. It is something that helps the industry that we bought into be able to stand with the big guys.
Thank you. Thank you all for your testimony. I appreciate it, Senator. Thank you for bringing them.
Well, thank you, Chairman D'Agostino. If I may also make one last comment on 6101, is there are components of the bill that I support, and that is the proposal advocated by Representative Tigliano, Section 59 of this bill, which supports our local restaurants in being able to take out liquor. And I would add that the participants joining me, the local business owners, all support Section 59. And we want to thank Representative Tigliano for raising that and advocating that we are all in this together, and in support of local businesses is and should be the utmost priority. We understand it's business as usual, but unfortunately, these are highly unusual times. And as our businesses in the liquor store businesses have succeeded, I have also known them, as demonstrated by Patrick's examples, and Mo could cite examples, and Ravish could cite examples, and many of the other people that will testify, is they have given back significantly to communities in need. So in this moment when we're trying to support all aspects of Main Street business, This is one that has succeeded during the COVID, but continues to give back. And that carries a lot of weight for me. And this is why I wanted to do that on behalf of my local businesses. But you will hear from many of those businesses that make the money, give back to the community, and restore that to the funds of their respective towns they're doing business. So I want to thank Mr. Chair for the unusual setting. This may be the first one it's done in Zoom, and I hope we'll fine tune it as we move on. But thank you, Mr. Chair, and I want to thank the esteemed colleagues of the General Assembly for indulging us as well. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Before we move to the next speaker, I just want to note for those observing that